It's not just a transaction, it's something very emotional for people when they buy a property. Something that people really need to know, and that's why they contact us, is how much it's all going to cost.
I think some people want to go for the cheaper option and use like an online firm.
Your quotes break down and include that terrible word stamp duty.
People are more than welcome to pop in whenever they like. I think they get worried that we might charge extra for it, but obviously with residential we charge a fixed fee.
It's a ripe area for fraud. Hello. Today I'm delighted to have Flora with me. Flora is based in our Broadway office in Leigh-on-Sea, sunny Leigh-on-Sea, with lots of estate agents around the office, and she is often the first point of contact in our residential property team when clients are thinking of moving. Hello, Flora. Thanks
Hi.
for joining me.
No problem.
So clients often, you're the first point of contact. Clients pop in, phone up, email, either excited or nervous that they have found a property to buy or need to sell or are just contemplating it.
Yeah, I mean, in fact, first-time buyers are usually the most nervous, I'd say, because they don't really know what they're going into. I think a lot of estate agents put a lot of pressure on them to hire
to choose their
to instruct a solicitor straight away. So, I'm sort of that first point of call and to basically calm them down.
And of course, something that people really need to know, and that's why they contact us, is how much it's all going to cost.
Yes.
And they think about the conveyancing legal fees. They often think, that firm might be £50 cheaper than that one.
Yeah.
But it's not just the legal fees, is it?
No, it's definitely mainly about the service. I think some people want to go for the cheaper option and use like an online firm, but they won't meet with us face-to-face like they do when they visit the Leigh Broadway office. I think some are a bit hesitant to
commit.
Yeah, to commit. I think we want to be upfront straight away and provide them with a full breakdown of fees, and there'll be no sort of hidden costs, which I think a lot of people are
And I know you've got your personal
concerned.
standard, haven't you, whereby someone speaks to you and you're determined to get that information out to them in writing so they can sit and look at it.
I usually give myself about an hour to get the estimate across, and they usually, the majority of them do come back. Our conversion rate is very good.
It is very good. Well, I'm not surprised because your quotes break down and include that terrible word stamp duty.
Yes.
So people often think maybe they can not have to pay stamp duty or mistaken how much it is.
Yeah.
So what do you put in your estimates that you send out to people?
So we mainly include just our own fees. So say if you're buying, so you'll have stamp duty fee, landage fee as well. If you're buying a leasehold property, we do charge a supplement fee, but everything is noted down. As I say, there's no sort of hidden fees, which I think a lot of people are quite wary of.
Yeah. And there's costs that people don't realise they need to have to factor in, isn't it? Like local authority search fees.
Yes. Yeah.
Which can be, how much are they on average?
They're £400 now, only because we're using a new search provider, but that includes every single search. So, even the additional ones.
So the search is about if there's going to be a major road built in front of the flat that you hope you're going to buy, for example. So crucial, isn't it?
Yes, it is absolutely crucial. You don't really have a say, especially if you're buying a mortgage, then you'll need to have searches carried out. So.
Yeah, and you mentioned clients popping in, which of course is really valuable, and a lot of local clients like that, or drive to our office in order to come in and meet you, and they can sit down and have that conversation. Yeah. But we also do deal with some clients that we don't meet face-to-face. Yeah. But either way, carrying out ID checks are, well, it's the law before we can do our job.
Absolutely.
So what is an ID check, and is it worth doing before you actually commit to the purchase?
Yeah, we always make sure we've got ID on file before we carry out any work anyway, so the client has to, unless they're a previous client where we've got ID on file. If we're not going to meet them face-to-face, then we just carry out an online standard AML check. So we'll have to upload photo ID and proof of address just to make sure, it all matches and hopefully it passes.
Yeah. And I mean, money laundering is like it's second nature to us, isn't it, in our world, particularly in residential property, because it's a ripe area for fraud. Absolutely. But it's also about us making that connection with the clients and knowing their circumstances, because that's where we satisfy the money laundering requirements that we've got, but also we understand their circumstances. So, as you say, first-time buyers might be particularly nervous.
Yeah, they kind of need their hand held a little bit. But
so you've got through the first phase, you've sent out the quote, they've accepted the quote, and they've either, the quote's been based on, we expect we're going to buy for about 250,000, let's say, a first-time buyer, and then they go off, and they come back, and they found the property. Yeah. And then what's your role next?
Yeah, so then if they instruct us, we I will prepare our initial pack to go out to them. It's pretty straightforward, really. It's just the client information forms that they need to fill out. If you're selling, you've obviously got the standard protocol forms. And
straightforward to you, because it's second nature. You do it in your sleep, and we can hear that the way we're speaking. But actually, the information we want from clients are things like, where's the money coming from for the deposit? Yeah,
so they'll complete like a standard source of funds form, and then later on during the transaction, they will need to show their source of funds. So we usually ask for 6 months worth of bank statements if it's coming from savings.
It's really difficult, isn't it, to say to clients, we're not just being nosy. There is actually a legal requirement for us to know where this money is coming from.
I think they get worried about where their bank statements are going to go, but we just have to stress to them that it would only be kept on file, and then the file is then archived anyway. So, the information doesn't go anywhere else.
No, that's right. And I mean, I do know that a lot of clients that use Giles Wilson and come to you particularly are recommended.
Yeah, because we're in Lee Broadway. We're close to a lot of estate agents, and Jodie mainly, she gets a lot of referrals, mainly from Scott and Stapleton, and
and also from family members. So they might come along and they say, can you look after my son or my daughter? They're buying their first property, or a relative is moving into the town. Yeah. And so we have to have quite a lot of local knowledge. And of course, you are local,
absolutely.
Aren't you?
Yeah, born and bred in Lee.
Walk to work on a good day, pop out in your lunch break and bump into all your clients. But that really helps clients engage with you, isn't it?
I mean, I have a client that walks past every day and gives me away. So I went back and it's nice. Yeah. It's nice to feel that sort of connection.
Yeah, it is. Because it's not just a transaction. It's something very emotional for people when they buy a property.
Yeah, absolutely. Especially with probate properties as well. But yeah. It's. I always say to them, people are more than welcome to pop in whenever they like. I think they get worried that we might charge extra for it, but obviously with residential, we charge a fixed fee, so they can. Clients can pop in whenever they like.
So you mentioned the forms; you called them the protocol forms.
Yes,
but I mean that doesn't really mean much to people who haven't done conveyancing before, or who aren't used to selling or buying a property. So, can you explain what those forms actually are and what information people are going to need when they put their property up for sale?
So if you're selling a freehold property, you'll have a property information form, and then there's a fixtures and fittings form. So the fittings and contents form will just have everything that's included in the sale. So
that will be anything, from the washing machine to the curtains to the light bulbs. And I think that's really quite time consuming for people to fill in those forms, isn't it?
I think they're worried that it's all set in stone once they've completed that form as well. And I do stress to them, no, things can change. You can amend the forms whenever you like, and you can just notify us and we'll notify the other side of solicitors. So,
but it is important that they do notify us if they change, isn't it?
Oh,
because
definitely.
Once contracts are exchanged based on those forms, they're legally binding, aren't they?
Absolutely. And then they can't come back to us and blame us for it.
No, and say, you said you were leaving the washing machine and now you haven't left it.
Yeah.
So with that in mind, ideally people should come along and get their legal representation lined up.
ASAP. Yeah, as soon as, even if they've just literally put the property on the market and they haven't had a buyer yet, as soon as we get the forms sent to them, they can get them, they can get started straight away. So even if we've got the forms sitting on the file, at least then once they have got a buyer, we can go ahead and send the draft contract pack straight out. So.
Yeah. And of all the people in our office, I think you're one of them that I've seen battle with piles of paperwork that people drop in, various guarantees and certificates that they've collected over the year for double glazing or when the boiler was last serviced.
I mean, there tends to be less of that now. I think a lot of people are getting used to scanning documents, which is a massive help to me. Because Sometimes it can take a good few hours to get everything scanned onto the system.
But it's stuff that they sometimes have to go away and find, isn't it?
Yeah.
Because the last thing that we really want to have to say to clients is, it's growing great. Your buyers want to exchange contract, but where is that guarantee for that double glazing you had put in 5 years ago?
Yeah.
And it's kind of bordering on non-legal work, but it becomes legally binding, doesn't it?
Yeah.
And it can really mess things up.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So building regulation certificates, that appears on the local authority search, doesn't it?
Yes.
If somebody hasn't got one, and sometimes they think they have.
Yeah.
So they come along and screech at you and say...
It's always that's the problem. But if you've got all that documentation there to hand, and
if you go through it and you say, that's missing, do you have that, etc., that is...
or they've got an option to tick on the protocol forms to say to follow, so they've got time to look for it anyway.
Yeah. And you mentioned probate sales. So the executors are coming in and they're selling their granny's house or their parents' house. Yeah. And sometimes they won't know where all that information is.
So it's sold, the property is sold with limited title, so it will be sold with limited knowledge. So the other side needs to be aware of that too. And
so it's important that clients feel able to say, I don't know about that, I don't have that information.
Yeah, absolutely.
As opposed to just saying an answer that they think we want to hear.
Yeah, no, I mean, we usually say to executors that they're more than fine to leave certain things blank if they're unsure. And the property is technically sold as seen, so.
Yeah. And then what about on completion day, when people get the keys to their new property, do you ever hear from them again?
Sometimes, especially with people that buy multiple properties. They tend to use us again once they've found somewhere else to buy. But we've got a lovely completion lady, Sharon, who's great with clients. So
Well, I've seen all the reviews and all the flowers that arrive in the office, which is quite amazing, actually. That on the day that people have moved house, they also sometimes think to come in with a box of chocolates and say thank you so much.
It really feels like the hard work has absolutely paid off.
Yeah.
So
well, it's one of the areas of our job where people actually do often get a prize at the end of it. They get their new home, don't they? Or whatever it is. Yeah. And then they return to us, maybe if they sell it in time to come.
Yeah.
And with, as you say, with everything being electronic now, it's so much faster.
Much easier. So much easier.
Yeah. Well, thank you ever so much, Flora, for taking me through those first stages and how you look after our clients when they find a property that they want to buy.
Thank you.